After years of decluttering for families of all shapes and sizes, there is one category of clutter that we see time and time again that is sucking the energy from us. But once it's gone, our clients are more focused, more energized, and less overwhelmed. In this video, I'm going to share the one category that can have such a big impact on the state of our homes and our minds. I'm going to share specific examples from my own home that I have decluttered recently, and then I'm going to share simple ways that you can get started in your home to clear the clutter and find more peace. First of all, I consider all decluttering a huge win. So if you are working your way through your house, I am already so proud of you. But today I want to focus specifically on a category that I call projects that never happened. This includes supplies and equipment related to any project or hobby that is not yet finished and/or was not the right fit for us. This could include items related to home reno projects that we started but never finished. Maybe it's a hobby that we started doing, a few years ago, but that we just aren't participating anymore. Or maybe even it is a hobby that we still do, but we just have excess supplies or excess equipment related to it. Now, there are two ways to declutter these items. One is to get rid of the supplies and equipment. So sell it, give it to your best friend, donate it. The second option is to finish the project. So use the supplies, use the equipment, and just get it done. I find that we tend to avoid this type of clutter because it brings on a lot of negative emotions. We're embarrassed and ashamed because we didn't see a project through. We feel like a failure or we feel lazy. We've probably spent money, and in some cases a lot of money, on the items that we are getting rid of. And in a few minutes, I'm going to share exactly why we should not feel that way. But first, to help me better explain this category and to remind you that you are not alone, I'm going to share a few examples of this category that I've decluttered recently in my own home. First off, we had a large canvas painting in our dining room. I have had this thing for over a decade. I love the size of it. I love the shape of it. That worked perfectly in the room. However, I've had it for so long and I've been staring at the same picture for over a decade, and honestly, it just wasn't me anymore. So last year I went ahead and figured out how to resurface it and what I needed. I went to Home Depot, bought the supplies I needed, and put them in my basement, where they sat for over a year. A couple of months ago, I decided, you know what, that's it. I am not letting these pails sit in my basement for another second. My options were: one, donate the pails of product that I had, or two, finish the project. I ended up dedicating a couple hours on one weekend to getting the project done and getting it off of my to-do list for good. Does it look professional? No. Does it look decent? Yeah. Is it done? Yes. Is it off my to-do list forever? Yes, yes, yes. The beauty of tackling this category is that we find items in our home that maybe even are just subconsciously on our mind or on our to-do list. But once they are tackled, it's a double whammy. We get rid of the physical items out of our home, and we get this lingering item off of our mental to-do list. This can feel like such a huge weight has been lifted. Next up, I had a pile of magnetic picture frames, picture hangers that I had used in an office space that I had been renting. I brought them home last summer and put them in the basement where they sat for months. I loved them so much, but I really had no use for them. However, at the same time, I also had a blank wall in our living room, and it has sat empty since we bought the sideboard that is underneath it. This was such a big wall in our house, and I stressed so much about what to put there. I spent so much time stressing about this because I wanted it to be so perfect. Finally, I'm like, enough is enough. I spent an hour or maybe even less measuring the space, figuring out what pictures could go there, ordering photos, and picking them up. And bam, I used up the magnetic frames that I already owned, and the empty wall or the unfinished project in our living room is done. And I get to look at beautiful photos of my family every day. Win, win, win. My word of the year for this year has been action, and it has had such an impact on my year so far. And I feel like it's a perfect fit for this category. So if you're feeling the urge to take action on something, tackling this category might be the perfect fit for you. Last example was something that I purchased when I first started my business several years ago. And it was something that I thought every professional organizer, had to have. Some of you may have already seen this in my video where I tried to sell some of our clutter. I bought this Cricut, which is basically a fancy printer. I bought it to make labels, custom vinyl labels for my clients. And when I first started the business, I used it for maybe 2 or 3 projects, but I have not used it since. Honestly, custom labels are not like a core part of my business, and I rarely had clients asking for them. And to be super honest, I sort of dreaded pulling it out Because I used it so infrequently, every single time I pulled it out, I had to basically relearn what I was doing, which means it took so long to make the simplest labels. So a few weeks ago, I decided to sell it and it felt amazing. I also let go of all the extra accessories and supplies that went with it. I now have more space in my home office, and it kind of feels great knowing that if I ever need a custom label for a client, I can just order it off Etsy and I never have to pull out this printer ever again. Now, as I mentioned, the big reason why we tend to avoid these items and then why they become clutter in the first place is because all of the negative emotions surrounding them. The shame, guilt, embarrassment, who wants to feel that? Nobody. But let me take you back to the definition that I used at the beginning of this video, specifically the part that says projects that are not yet finished and/or that weren't the right fit for us. Humans change, we grow, we try new things, we dip our toes in the world of snorkeling, we try our hand at crochet, we see if we can figure out how to resurface our kitchen cupboards. Within a reasonable range, this is normal. How would I have ever known if I loved making YouTube videos if I hadn't bought a camera? How would I have ever known that I hated making vinyl labels if I hadn't got a Cricut? I cannot emphasize enough that beating ourselves up over these items or these pieces of equipment is an absolute waste of time. We don't know what we don't know. But hanging on to these projects that never happen let these negative feelings fester and adds an item onto our never-ending mental to-do list. And it's a total waste of the actual stuff that someone else in the world would probably love to have and could be using right now. You might already have a lot of examples in your mind. You're like, I know what, that's in my basement or that's in the spare room. I know I can tackle that. But I'm gonna give you 6 specific examples that we see in client homes every single week over and over again. Number 1 are home reno projects, and specifically the finishing touches. So trim that never was put up, covers for receptacles or light fixtures, things like that. Number 2 is old technology that needs to be wiped or files transferred. So maybe we have an old laptop or desktop computer or an old phone where we're done reusing it and we don't need it. However, we're like, oh, I want those photos on my current laptop, or I want to have those files put onto my external hard drive. That is a huge one we see in almost every home. Number 3 are crafting supplies for a craft or a skill that we no longer do, or excess of things that we do. So say you love knitting, great, but do we have an excess of the yarn? Or do we have excess fabric where we can't even enjoy our crafting or sewing area anymore because it is so overpiled with the stuff? Number 4 are sports or hobby supplies or equipment that we tried but just weren't the right fit for us. So we wanted to try hunting, great, or we want to try boating, or we want to try rollerblading. Guitars is a big one. We see so many guitars that never get touched. Number 5 are unfinished repairs. So this could be small appliances that you have and you're like, I know I'm gonna fix that coffee maker, or maybe it is clothes that need to be mended or adjusted. Category 6 are items that we want to sell. So we have made the decision that we are getting rid of these items and we want to sell them. However, we just haven't taken the steps to get it done yet. Remember, your future self doesn't want this clutter. Your future self wants freedom. If you have decided that you are going to sell some of the items that you're getting rid of, remember to check out one of my recent videos where we tried to sell some of our old clutter. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.